Hi everyone. This is just a very short tutorial to show you how to get your data out of Excel into Google's My Maps. So, at this point, most of you now should be focusing on Nassau County and Hempstead Town or City. And so the way we do this is you open up that Excel document, make sure that you have your filter across at the top, and make sure that you have those top panes frozen. And what we want to be starting to do now is isolating the content that you want to work with. So there's a couple of things that we're going to do here. One is we're going to only take the 2019 data. I found a shortcut for you. We're only going to isolate for you. It will be Nassau County. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm using Westchester County. And then for you, your city will be Hempstead if you're going down to city level. If you're staying at Nassau County, that's fine. But for the purposes of this example, we're changing column C to just only include 2019 inspections. We're changing the county to only be Westchester, and we're changing the city to only be Yonkers. So to change the date, one way around this, open up that column, click on the drop-down menu, unselect all the other years, and only take 2019. Okay? So do that first. And that's going to give you 18,000. You can see the number down there, roughly 18,500 incidents. Okay? Go over now to county. Now, as I said, I am taking Westchester. You are taking Nassau. So you'll be selecting Nassau. I'm selecting Westchester. And then tab over to your city column. Again, unselect. You will be selecting Hempstead, which I don't have as an option, obviously, because I'm in Westchester, and I'm selecting Yonkers. All right. So I've just highlighted these to make it easier for you to see. So these are the columns that you're going to be working with. You've got last inspected. We've fixed that date problem where we did text to columns. Anyone interested? The problem that was going on there was bad formatting. But you're probably not, so we'll move on. So column C, and then your county and your city. So what you have now is a far more manageable set of data. We've got 203 columns here. So we're going to select all of that data. You do that by tapping in this little area here where the fold down is. Tap in there. Depending on what you're using, for me it's a Mac, so it's Command A. If you're using a PC, it'll be Control A. Copy it all, and then create a new document. This new document is only going to contain now your 2019 data, and it only contains your city, which is Hempstead, and your county, which is Nassau. Now, when you paste it into a new document, it often comes in like this, where it wraps. The easiest way to fix that is to tell Excel, wrap everything, tap on it once, and then when it has wrapped everything, tell it, unwrap it. Don't ask me why, but it works. Give that a couple of seconds. So again, pop in the top there, get your filter. Make sure that you're freezing those top rows, just the top row, not the top pane, very important distinction. And then quickly save that document. So you're saving always 2 copies. So this is original. This is original for your city and county, right? Which will be Hempstead and Nassau. Save. Blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Yep. And then save it again. And what we want to do here is make sure that we have an original and a working copy. So mine is called Working Yonkers Food Data. I'm making it XLS so I can get all the formatting. Yours will be Working Nassau Hempstead. Save that. And I've made a mistake there. So I don't want to change the name of the file. I just want to change the type of the file. If you make that mistake, that's how you fix it. Hit save, and there we go. So now we have our Yonkers food data. So a couple of things that we looked at the other day in class that are still relevant here. pull these columns out. Critical violations, right? The count is 203, but there are only 14 critical violations in Yonkers. Total critical that weren't corrected, there's 2. Okay, so that might be a story. And total non-critical violations, now the sum there is 833. So make sure you check your sums, because they'll be different to count. Because remember, count is just the number of rows. The sum is actually adding up all the numbers in those rows. So we had, I think it was 14. Yeah, 14 total critical violations. And only 2 places didn't correct them. Out of curiosity, let's go and have a look and see who that was. And that will be Euro Italia Pizzeria. So I will not be eating there again. It's at Central Park Avenue in Yonkers. Okay. So for the purposes of this demonstration, all I'm doing here is importing this content into creating a map. Now, you can also, while you're thinking about this, you can also sort your data by zip codes. So when we're getting into charts, we might be looking at, well, how many zip codes had how many violations? So again, we just go there, insert a pivot table. In she goes, hit OK. And we want zip code. And then we want the sum of the values for the violations. So we'll count our violations up there and see it's defaulting to count. Make that sum and hit OK. Now sometimes this stuff doesn't work as we might expect it to, in which case we will have to go back. But as you can see here, we have those critical violations that add up to 14. So it's not violations, that's not the tab we want. So we can immediately see here that 10701 is the zip code with the most violations. That might turn into a nice little chart. But back to our data. We want to bring all of this data and make a map out of it. So a couple of things to be aware of. Kill that second sheet. If you have a second sheet, get rid of it. Google sometimes gets confused if you upload a spreadsheet that has more than one sheet of data. Make sure that you have your column headers there. Sorry, my voice is going. And all of your information. Perfect. Shut it and save it. So now you're working off the working data set, okay? We'll minimize that. That's the old data set. That was the original. That's some formatting that I was doing. And that was an app that you don't need to know about. So over here, we go to Google My Maps, literally, and then log in. So we're going to create a new map. Give it a title. So mine is Yonkers Food Inspection Data. Save and import. Okay, see that blue thing there? You're going to import. Select a file from your device. Remember, what did you call it? Mine was working. Yonkers. There we go. Import it and in it'll go. Now, where do I want to put the place marks? So this will be the latitude, longitude pairs. So go right down to the bottom because that's where that information is in that spreadsheet. And Google is saying, I want latitude, longitude. So make sure you select latitude, longitude. Hit continue. Now this is asking you what do you want to use as a title. So I'm guessing we're going to use the name of the facility for the moment. Hit finish and it will go off and populate the map for you. This is where we would have some music. And so this is what my map looks like. We're there, but we're not there, okay? Because now we have all of this information, right? And this is where we put our editorial hats on and say, well, I don't know if I need all that information, right? What would be the most interesting thing for a user? So I'm going to guess that San Martino Italian restaurant had no violations, right? Say that. Get rid of everything else. There's nothing else in there that's of interest to us. How do we find that out, and how do we get into the data to say, what do I want to show? That's where you open up your data table and you can see all of the items in here, right? So you could either kill them by deleting the columns, but I wouldn't recommend that because you might need them for some stories. But for the moment, what I want you to do is create that map based on your story. So my story here is literally going to be an interactive map about food inspections. I have 202 restaurants. I'm going to say very clearly whether or not they did or they didn't have any violations, right? So I'm going to start taking all of this out. This is Westchester County. I know I'm in Westchester County. I have the address up there. I know I'm in Yonkers. I want the zip code. I'm not sure what the gazetteer is. So I might want to take all of these things out to have a look. Now I got in there by using the little editing icon. So I hit save. Now see? Now if I click on another, it's done the same. So now my map is starting to become a little more interesting. And when I get into the violations, we have a description of them. So what I want you to do is get this far with the map. I want you to be thinking about why you're using a map. So for mine, it's here are places which had food inspection 2019 in Yonkers. Go and have a look and see how your favourite eatery did. Something like that. If you're going into the content, so I'm going to go back to Excel. One way that you might go is, I might want to know, because I'm kind of curious, did they have rodents present? So I'm looking in here for any text that says rodents are present. Okay. So now I might think, oh, I've got another map here. Insects, rodents present. Insects, rodents present. Now, I only have 14 places that actually have the rodent present label. Maybe I want to do a story about rodents on the premises, and in which case I'll only take that data. But be careful, 14 data points is not really significant. You need at least 50. So that might become part of a larger story where you break out and say, some of these violations included rodents, and find a way now of letting the reader know, let's go back to the map, by using these colours, which of these colours will change the colour on the maps, on the icons, so that the reader will be able to immediately see, oh, that was a rodent, and that's not a rodent. But that's the challenge for next week. For the moment, what I want you to do is think about how your data fits into the map. Do you have a minimum of 50 data points to put on a map and make it interesting? And what is your story?